What's going on, Jets fans? Welcome into NYJ today. How you feeling, Mike?
What's up? Feeling good.
Feeling good. And we got a don't make me jet the F up in the comments. That is always good for me. It's great to see you guys. Episode 17. We have come a long, long way. 17 weeks have just flown by. But we're loving the channel, loving doing this with you guys every week. We do apologize for anybody that didn't realize that we were going to be doing this on Thursday night. If you didn't know, tickets went for sale yesterday. The Jets and across the NFL, they were selling tickets to fans. And we were busy. We were online shopping for tickets to games. So I'm going to the Patriots home opener game on the 19th with Michelle. And Mike and I are actually going to be already jetted the F up. Mike and I are actually going to be going to the Denver game. We're going to Denver, and we're going to watch the Jets kick the shit out of the Broncos. We can't wait for that. Yes. Good evening, I should say, to you, Grant Rude. And anyway, what do you got for me, Mike? Anything anything on your mind to start off the show?
I'm pumped, dude. I'm pumped about the schedule. I'm pumped to have tickets to go to a game after a pandemic.
Yes.
Oh man, I feel like they're letting me out of the cage. They don't know what they're gonna get. I'm like a loose primate.
Oh look, he's getting angry. Just buy a ticket. Jesus God. Do you want to go to Denver? It's not too late. Get a ticket. We'll go together.
I thought he couldn't have a good time.
Oh, that might be, actually, yeah. Well, anyway, at any rate, I am very fired up about it. The fact that we can actually go to a game again in person, and as far as I understand, there's no mandate, or will be no mandate, to wear...
No mask. Nope.
And, the beer will be flowing. We'll be eating all of snacks from the concession stands. I don't care what $12 hot dog they got. I'm buying all of them.
Everything.
Yep.
I'm going nuts.
It's going to be a great time, and it's just going to be so good to be back in the stadium and just hear the roar of the crowd, because that's really what it's all about. It's about doing that. Vern, what's up, my man? It's good to see you in the chat. So what do you think? We get on to
How many voicemails do we have?
We do not have a voicemail, but we would love if people called in. So if you have not called in, feel free to call into the show, guys. My phone and the number is on the screen.
You know who I'm disappointed in? And I hope he's in the chat. Straight Fire. Straight Fire has been ready to go on all of our callers, and yet we haven't gotten a call from Mr. Straight Fire yet. I really want to get that guy in here talking to us. Also, chat, I thought that segment that you and Grant did on the virtual live call versus a voicemail or just a straight audio call was a great idea, and I thought that went really well. So, if that was interesting to you, if you have interest in just kind of hopping on real quick to do something similar to what Grant did, and shout out to Grant for taking a step and doing something, being a first timer and doing that. I thought that was great. I thought that was a great way for people to, come on, be part of be a bigger part of the channel and not have to be, on the spot necessarily. So, I know, they could reach out to the NYJ today through Instagram or through Twitter or whatever your preferred mechanism is. But
that's the thing. I feel like we need to get our viewers to get connected onto those social media platforms, because I did tweet out that we would not be live yesterday. Like, that wasn't something that I didn't leave that unannounced. Like, I definitely tweeted that out. So again, if you guys aren't on Twitter, that's where I'm frequently on. I use Instagram, but not quite as much. Yeah, the vid call is very cool, and I appreciate you sending that in the chat, Grant Rude. We actually, Straight Fire said that he was going to do it, but I never really heard back from him. So he was basically a no-show in the DMs. Maybe he got a little bit shy, a little bit nervous to talk to Mike. That could be that. That's probably
I'm an intimidating presence. I dominate the venue, and people get busy, so I don't want to give him too much. I don't want to give him too much heat. But shout out to Grant. I thought that was great.
Yes.
You didn't really answer any of my questions, Grant. I think you ignored me. That's fine. And I'll just give you a lot of crap about it until I see you again.
So with that, we don't really have a ton of people lighting up yet, but we will move on. We can always get to the chat later in the show. The next segment is going to be about the Jets' schedule. And I do have the schedule already pulled up, so we're going to literally just jump to that. And I'm going to present that to the whole world. And yep, there she blows. So the schedule is now on the screen. And oh, Gitmo, what's up, dude? Gitmo Bob, thank you so much for coming back. Love having you here. So we're going to just break it down, and I think we'll just do one game at a time for right now. Do you think that's acceptable? And then we'll kind of give like our prediction of like how we feel the game will go. And what do you think, Mike?
I'm totally good with that because one of the most exciting games for me is the first game in the schedule. So let's start there.
Yep, that sounds good. So we've got the Jets traveling to the Carolina Panthers week 1, September 12th. Fox CBS game. What are your initial thoughts? I'm going to let you take the floor here. What are your initial thoughts on this game? How do you think the game will go? How do you think we're going to play?
It's a must win. It's a must win. It's a must win game.
Go ahead. I'm going to let you go. Go for it.
It's a must win game. Have to win that game. If we lose that game out of the gate, now this is something that John and I we try not to chat about the topics before the stream starts because he likes to kind of get me in the situation where he wants me to mention a couple. He either wants me to make a fool of myself, he wants me to mention Tom Brady, or he wants me to. So I really haven't talked about this, but that's a must-win game for me. To lose that game at the start of the season, now depending, John's point on this is how do we lose the game? Really depends on how big of a bummer that is. I get that, if Zach does good, but yet the rest of the team struggles, does that really mean that, does that really make us have doubt? Is Grant going to come in and say, I told you we should have took Fields? I think that how we lose the game is a factor. But to me, losing the game in general, no matter if it's Zach, no matter if it's the defense, no matter if it's a number of different coaching, play call, to me, that's going to be such a huge bummer. And I am trying to get myself in the mental mind space to be like, okay, we're building as a team. One game doesn't, even if it's against our ex quarterback and there's a lot of pressure on, did we make the right choice? I need to get myself in the right mental space to move past it regardless of the outcome. But to me, before I pick apart Carolina and what I think they're going to do, I just think it's a big motivator to come out of the gate and win that game. So that's my immediate thought when I saw that on the schedule. Carolina, looking at the fact sheets and just looking at on paper, to me, it should be a good game. It should be a competitive game. Now, Carolina has made some moves. I think they obviously have a dominant run game. With McCaffrey. It's really going to test our linebacker crew. It's going to test our line. I'm not worried about the line, to be honest with you. I'm really worried about that linebacker.
I just wanted to throw in, they also drafted Chuba Hubbard as well. Keep going.
Carolina did, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think where I'll get really scared is if McCaffrey makes it past the line. I don't know if our linebacker crew is going to be able to keep up with that. So I am a little bit worried about that. On their offense and our defensive side, on their passing game side, I'll be monitoring the secondary and how we're doing and monitoring those reports. I don't know, Robbie Anderson running down the field scares me. I am worried about that. Because Robbie's still with Carolina, right? They kept him, and they kept who's the other one? They kept Marvin.
They have
Jones.
DJ Moore as well, who's very good.
Right. They
also have Christian McCaffrey, as you mentioned, Robbie Anderson. They have lots of weapons on offense. There's no doubt.
Okay. Yeah. So I am worried about how the defense. Let me just summarize it because I'm really just believing the point. I'm worried about how the defense keeps on getting. I think our offense is going to be competitive. I think I have high expectations for us to put points on the board. I am worried about us being able to keep Carolina out of the end zone. So that's my immediate thoughts on that.
All right, sounds good. So I'm not necessarily worried about containing Darnold. I know that's ridiculous. I think the biggest thing is not to let them get big chunk plays. Like they can move the ball, and I feel like that's what the approach should be, is to basically play kind of a defense where they allow them to kind of not necessarily move the chains on intentionally, but basically play a defense where you get them in the red zone and then you tighten up a little bit, kind of like what the Patriots have done in the years past, is basically play outstanding red zone defense and pressure the quarterback into making some mistakes. The windows get tighter, there's less room to operate, and I feel like if in that game, if we can get pressure on Darnold, I think that's going to be the determining factor. We know he doesn't do very well against pressure, and most quarterbacks don't, to be fair. It's not like one of those things where there's quarterbacks out there just like, yeah, pressure me. That's the best thing for me. So I feel like if we can get pressure on Darnold with our front four, Quinnen Williams, Carl Lawson, Jonathan Franklin Myers, the list goes on and on and on. Sheldon Rankins. I just feel like that's really going to be the determining factor. So line play will be the deciding factor. If our offensive line blocks really well, and if our defensive line can cause havoc, I think we win that game. And I think the same thing could be said for the Panthers on the other side. If they get pressure on Zach Wilson, and if they protect Sam Darnold, I think they win. I think it's pretty clear that this is going to be one of those games it's determined by the turnovers and the line play. And that's how I see it happening. I do have the Jets winning this game, but I think it's going to be extremely, extremely competitive. And you kind of mentioned that. Like, this is going to be a tight game. They're a 5-11 football team last year. They're not a very good football team. So it's one of those games where you do feel nervous going into it because you don't even want to feel like reading those articles. You don't want to see those headlines.
Right.
Because that's what's going to happen. They're just going to shit all over the franchise. Even though we've moved on, the news teams will not let it go.
The news media, especially ESPN. Oh my God. Can you imagine what ESPN is going to say? Mel Kiper, Stephen A. Sure. They're going to be all over us. It would be awful. It would be awful.
And I think that's a good way to end it, is just by noting that all of the pressure, in my opinion, is on the Jets. And I know that sounds biased.
It's true.
Darnold can have a game versus the Jets, and it'll suck for him, and it'll be a sour taste for him. But he can still go on to have a great career, a great year this season coming up. I feel like for the Jets, though, for them to be able to fully move forward and to cleanse the palate, they need to win that game. And I agree with you.
I mean, and let's just say, I mean, I give the chat. I think the chat is probably the most reasonable population of Jet fans that I've experienced. Like I said, my family, particularly my dad, his family, we're talking deep Jersey, New York fan base that don't give any patience at all to the team, right?
Right.
They literally have to walk on water to pay for all the sorrow that some of these Jet fans are shouldering for many, many years. I think that losing that game, we say, come to the Big Apple. And there's nothing like the New York media, right? That's true when things are good, but it also goes when things are bad, right? So when the things are bad, New York media will tear that team up, and it'll be. I mean, maybe not to the same extent because you got Robert there for the first year, you got Zach there for the first year. I would hope there's some concessions made because of that, but I know there's a population of Jet fans who are going to go completely south, and we're going to be battling that perception. So you're 100% right. All the pressure's on the Jets, and it would be unfortunate to start the season like that. So that'd be a bummer.
Maybe we haven't mentioned it, and we can move on after this. We have a ton of chat to get to. By the way, guys, thank you so much for participating. Thank you for being here. If you haven't liked the channel or the stream yet, please consider hitting the like button on this stream. I think a lot of pressure is on Saleh week 1. He needs to come up with a really good plan on defense to confuse
I'm going to go
Arnold.
I think LaFleur. I think there's more pressure on LaFleur, to be honest with you.
Protect Wilson and to give him an opportunity.
100%.
All right, we're going to get to the chat because you guys are blowing it up. Robbie Oak says 4th place baby steps schedule. What he means by that is we have a 4th place schedule because we were the 4th place team last season. He says, but we need that this year. And I agree. The schedule is not it's not as brutal as it has been in years past. I'll just say that. There have been seasons where we look at the schedule and we're like, holy shit. How are we
really?
Right. Anthony Galeros throws in, I've got us going 8-9. I still can't get over the fact that there's no 8-8 record, 9-7 record. I can't stand it. Just is too weird to look at. But anyway, he says 8-9.
I agree with that.
Vern, highly, supremely confident, says we are starting 5-1. We will get into predictions.
No way, dude.
I did give us. I gave us the win week 1. I don't see 5-1, but Vern, I love the energy and I love the positivity. Robbie Oak, he has a good point. He says Carolina is ahead of us right now in total team building. It's okay if we lose, but I'd like to not see Sam throw for 304 touchdowns on us. Yeah, that will hurt. That would hurt. And agreed. If it's a really good game, and here's the other thing that we didn't talk about. If Zach Wilson balls out and if Darnold balls out and we just happen to lose the game, maybe on a late game field goal, it's going to suck, but we'll still feel really good about the situation, I think, especially if Wilson has a good game. Gitmo Bob says, it feels like everything is calming down now until OTAs, and it's calming down, but OTAs are on Monday. So it's not it's not calming down for long. We're going to be right in the middle of all of this off-season, practices, training that they're going to be doing. So there's still going to be some news to report. I think the slow month is really going to be is June. I think June will be pretty slow for us. And then once we get to July, we have training camp to look forward to. So it's all exciting times coming up, guys. It's good stuff. Jason Rhodes says the last 2 games will determine whether we end up being a plus or above 500 team or a below 500 team. And he's right. We play the Bucks and we play the Bills. So what he's saying is there's no way we're going to be a 9-win team at that point, and we can lose both games. I think we end up losing both of those games. I would be shocked if we won either one of those last 2 games. The Bucks are a supremely, supremely loaded team. The
Super Bowl favorite.
Yep. And the Bills too, even. They're a very, very good team. So we can't expect to win either one of those games. Let's see. Grant Rude says Carolina also has 2 BYU players coming in this year, but Wilson's team sucked. So you're just forever bitter, Grant Rude, aren't you? Anthony Galeros says the first 7 games are pretty easy. I'm looking at the first 7 games, and although I don't think they're all terribly easy, there are several winnable games for sure, I think, on the schedule.
Yeah, we got major problems.
Go ahead.
I mean, we got Kyle Pitts, who's going to be running up there. So I don't know. I mean, we made some investments in the secondary. Does anyone feel that you're 100% sleeping easy at night in the secondary right now? I mean, I'm not. I mean, I still think that there's a lot of ground to make there before you could say even playing a team like Atlanta, where you would say that you're confident enough to go 5-1. I have us taking our first L second week with the Patriots. I really do. If Mac was playing, and John, I haven't looked, but what I heard was Cam was starting for the Patriots.
Yeah, I think he'll start early on.
So anyway,
it's going to be a tricky situation. I think that there are winnable games in those first 7 weeks, but it's going to be hard because remember, new head coach, new quarterback, new offensive system, new defensive system. There's a very good chance that they don't win more of the games than they do lose those games, and that's not a negative Oh, got a call.
Hey,
and it looks like Jason Rhodes, so that'll be a good one.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail.
What's up, Jason? How you doing, man?
What's going on, guys?
It's going good. It's good to hear from you, man.
Well, it's good. I know it's Thursday, and it's a little odd of a day, but hey, we're here. We're here.
That's right. That's right. It's not our day. Go ahead.
I want to clarify that plus or minus for the last 2 games.
Go ahead.
So if the Bucks have already got the playoff if they're already got the number 1 seed, we have a chance to win. If the Bills have already got their playoff seeding set, we've got a chance to win. If they're both fighting for it, we don't have a chance.
That makes a lot more sense. And you're right. If they're playing for seeding at that point in the season, you're right. There's no way we win that game. However, you're right, and also in what you say, if they are done and they've wrapped things up, which is very possible, the Bills might be playing for absolutely nothing in that game. Good chance we beat their backups, I would say, at that point in the season. Our players and our schemes would be kind of rolling at that point, I would hope. So, fair point for sure.
We come out of week 16, and let's say we're 8-7, and both teams aren't playing for anything. We've got a chance to be 10-7.
And that would be great. I feel like we need to build some positive energy for 2022. I mean, that's what this whole season's about, is building for 22. And I would love to see them, kind of end it on a positive streak. It's just going to be really hard if those teams are actually playing for something.
Exactly. And if we come out of week 17 and we're, say, 7-8, and they're both fighting for a position, then we could end up 10-7. So, I mean, that's a huge swing for us.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. What are your other takeaways from the schedule? Anything that sticks out to you?
Man, you and I talked last night. I'm already set for the Colts Jets game.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's a given.
Yep. You're excited about that. I feel like
4 tickets, buddy. If you can get your butt here to Indy, you're coming.
I appreciate that, and you did mention that last night, and I do appreciate that a lot. It's very, very generous and kind of you. I actually think that game's winnable. I don't know if we win it. I have us for a loss for that game, but I don't think it's one of those situations where we can't win that game. The Colts with Wentz is an iffy proposition in my view right now. So
I can't remember the last time I've been to a Colts Jets game where the Jets lost. Obviously, the last one.
That's accurate.
The whole COVID thing, and I don't even count that, but clear back to even the playoff wild card game back in 2010.
Right. Yeah. No. You were at that game.
Oh yeah. And we seem to lose. The Colts can come into MetLife and win, but we seem to win down here in Indy, which is great for me.
That's a fair point, and we actually beat them the last time we played them. Andrew Luck came to MetLife, and we beat them.
Yeah. So we seem to win here. We seem to win here in Indy.
Yeah.
When I show up, so hey, I'm going to go with it.
I like it. I like it a lot. What do you?
Yeah, I'm already going this year. So I've got 2. I've got 4 tickets. I've got 2 extra. So far.
Yep. No, we're excited. We're going to Denver, and I'm going to the New England home opener. I can't wait for both of those games. It's going to be a ton of fun to be in a stadium again.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, you guys are doing a great job. Great show. Keep it up. Proud of you. You were pulling for 200 and then 300, and now look at you.
Yep, I appreciate that, Jason. Very much. I appreciate that.
You're one step away from ESPN, buddy.
That's right. Thank you, Jason.
All right, keep up the good work, guys.
All right, you have a good night, man. Take care. That was Jason Rhodes. Thank you for calling, Jason. We're going to get to our comments here because we've still got a lot, and I want to try to catch up before we get into more of the games. So Gitmo Bob, his comments up here, and I haven't read it for a while. It says, it's going to take some time for both sides of the ball to gel. With 2 new systems, we might not see this team hitting all cylinders early for 4 or 5 weeks. It might be longer. It could even be longer than that. They might not be ready to play all until mid-season even. So let's see. Jason Rhodes says there's no way that Sam wins. He says it won't even be close. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that.
There's a chance. They could definitely they're a competitive football team. They are not a trash team. So the Jets will have to play a really good football game if they're gonna win that one. Let's see. LaFleur just needs to make some adjustments with our offensive line. I mean, listen, we need to make sure that we're blocking. If we come out and we're sloppy with our blocking scheme in week 1, we could get burned. There's a kid named Brian Burns on the I almost call him the Charlotte Panthers, on the Carolina Panthers. Brian Burns is a speed demon edge rusher. If we do not block him up, it could be a really long game, and it could be one of those games where you're just like you're hating watching it and you won't enjoy it. If they do not protect Zach Wilson, that is bad, bad, bad.
They're gonna put him on the right side?
Who? Burns?
Yeah.
I'm not sure where he would line up. I'll be honest with you. He's probably on the right side, so he might be going against Becton. We would just have to wait and see. Becton, and that's the thing. Maybe we could run the ball on them. Maybe that's something that we could look forward to, is like their defensive line. They have a bunch of guys they drafted last year early in the draft, but even still, I feel like we might have some success running the football on Becton and Elijah Vera Tucker's side. So that could be maybe one of the things that they game plan for is, hey, let's just run to this side and make them stop it and see what happens.
Right.
Let's see. Everybody. Robbie Oak says Vern is smoking crack. Vern is just hyped, and there's nothing wrong with a little bit of hype, but Vern does throw the the crooked smile emoji at him. Gitmo Bob says, I see a typical Darnold performance. 180 to 220 passing yards, a couple of turnovers. He says, not sure who wins. If Darnold has that kind of game, I believe we win the game. If Darnold really struggles and turns the ball over 2 times, I think we win that football game. Anything that you want to say about Zach Wilson, I feel like one thing that I feel pretty confident in is that maybe not in year 1, but as his career progresses, I think he might be one of those quarterbacks that isn't going to be turning the football over a bunch. And that could change, you know. He might be one of those guys like a Trubisky, but I don't see that. I don't see him developing into a quarterback that turns it over a lot. So we just have to wait and see on that one. Kyle Reich, welcome to the channel, dude. Good to see you. He's the gangrene guy. He says AFC East is tougher than it has been in a long time. Bills are
totally
very
true.
It is very. Flores has the Dolphins playing well for the first time in forever, and Belichick with the Patsies.
I think this is the strongest I've ever seen the AFC East.
It is
since I've been watching football.
Yeah, I would say the late '90s and the early 2000s. It was pretty good even then.
You talking about when like Pennington was with the Dolphins? Is that what you're talking about? Because the Bills stunk back then, or I guess they had Marshawn Lynch.
The Bills were bad, and they were not very good.
Yeah.
But in the late '90s, they still had technically Marino at that point. The Jets were. They went to the championship game in '98. They were a Super Bowl contending team in '99, even though they didn't end up going.
Still stunk.
They did, yes. All right, let's keep it moving here. Let's see. Yeah, Vern kind of echoed what Jason said. The Bills and the Bucks could be locked in already for a bye. Kyle Reich, agree. Titans are easy. Finns are easy. That's how I see it. I'm looking at the schedule, and there's some games here that make me very concerned. I don't think the Dolphins are easy, and I definitely don't think the Titans are easy. We will have a hard time playing the Titans. I think that's a loss on our schedule for sure. All right, let's see. My brother's asking about fantasy football votes. Let's see.
I voted, Phil. I voted. As
Great
soon as you
question.
sent me the text.
Great question, Robbie Oak. This is what I'd like. If you guys haven't sent a question into the chat yet, do that right now. I'll start favoriting your questions, and we will talk about them. So Robbie Oak says, who's going to be our right guard? Cameron Clark? We should be crossing our fingers that he wins the job. And ideally, he wins the job outright in training camp. I only smoke pot. So, yeah, I feel like if we can get Cameron Clark to play well enough in training camp and preseason to show that he's the guy for the right guard spot, that's a home run. We would be so young on the offensive line, very talented. And I would just be so excited if we could get Cameron Clark to be a competent starter on that offensive line. And here's the thing. He doesn't even need to become a great right guard. He just needs to be an average right guard for that pick to be worth it. What do you think? Right guard, what are you feeling?
Me? I'm sorry, you're asking chat.
No, other person on the show.
I'm thinking Cameron Clark. I think that makes sense. I think if they move, I think they play around with Vera Tucker though.
They're not going to play around with Vera Tucker.
You don't think so?
No, I think they're going to keep him on the left side. I think it's going to be Becton and him on the left side for a very long time. That's my take on it.
I don't know. But I guess. Well, here's what I'll say. Would your stance on that change depending on how Clark and others perform at that point? Like if you see them getting blown up, do you see them moving Vera Tucker, or do you think they stay? You think they stick to that script?
If what?
If they start to struggle, do you see them use it? They're not going to move Becton.
They're not going to move Becton, and I don't believe they'll ever move Elijah Vera Tucker. Here's the thing: you don't switch out a guard to go to the other side because the other side's struggling. Because then what's going to just wind up happening is your left side's going to struggle. So moving him is pointless. I think that they've dedicated him to be the guard and the left guard. I would be shocked if they moved him, but some people were talking about him playing right guard so that they could eventually kick him to the right tackle spot. I don't see that personally, but it's an interesting idea that if they do put him at right guard, they could then potentially kick him out to right tackle eventually. So I actually think that Greg Van Roten has a shot to win that job. He and Connor McGovern played alongside rookies. They played alongside people that weren't very good at blocking. I give Greg Van Roten actually a decent shot to win the right guard position or the job, the starting job. But again, ideally, Cameron Clark is our guy. Like if he can take that job, that's huge for our offense, and it's just huge for the salary cap. It would just be a huge thing. Big deal. So yes, we are all super excited for September. It is going to take a long time to get here, but we will enjoy the process as we go. Grant Rude, he says, Darnold doesn't have to play all that good. CMC can win on his own if the Jets don't contain him. That's a fair point. I had said that if they could get some turnovers from Darnold, that maybe that would be enough. And it is fair to say Darnold had some pretty bad games last year, and they still won the football games. He played pretty poorly against the Rams. The stat line didn't necessarily show it, but he did not play a very good game against the Rams, and we won that game. So if they're running the ball all over us hog wild, then yeah, we've got a big problem.
What is Carolina's play calling? They do a lot of play action, right?
They do a lot of, as far as I understand, they do a lot of deep ball throwing, and it's all predicated off the running game. So they will mix in the play action, and they are looking to stretch the field. They have some speedy guys on the outside. But yeah, I think the bigger problem actually it's not really Christian McCaffrey running the ball that really scares me. I mean, of course he's a great running back, but I actually worry more so about him running pass routes against our linebackers. You had mentioned the linebackers earlier, and I think stopping the run won't be a task that they can't handle, but I do feel like them covering him is could be ugly. It could be a hard assignment.
It really depends what CJ Mosley shows up. Do we get CJ Mosley from 2018, or do we get CJ Mosley after pandemic?
Yeah. And it's been a long time. If he's out there and if they're saying, okay, Mosley, go cover Christian McCaffrey. It's your first game back. Yeah. That's a tough assignment, man. And that's the thing that makes.
Are you? No, I was just trying to I mean, at least we'd be running a 4-3, right? So that helps. But I guess, you call it's a hybrid, right? It's really, I can't remember what it is.
Grant Rude's been calling it a 4-2-5 all offseason, and it could end up being that way. They may pull a safety down in the box to try to cover Christian McCaffrey. That could be.
Right.
We just got to wait and see. But yeah, Grant Rude, that's a fair point to say that if Darnold plays poorly, doesn't necessarily give us the win. I would just say that if he plays a bad game, it gives us a much better shot, I would say, to win the game. Gitmo echoes the Greg Van Roten thing. He says, I think the plan is for Clark to be the right guard. Otherwise, it's probably going to be Van Rotten. And he said, not a typo. Yeah, my hope is that because it's a little bit more stable on the offensive line, we've got guys returning for their second year, and we've got some more talent at that left guard spot. Hopefully, it's a little bit more cohesive and better communication and just overall chemistry. I'm hoping that some of these guys that didn't perform great last year will just kind of step up and start to play a little bit better, because I could see him having a better year next year. Kyle says that Trubisky didn't actually turn it over all that much. He just sucks. He missed wide open wide receivers by a mile. That's probably true. And that was a bad comparison by me. I was basically just trying to pull a quarterback that was turnover prone once they got to the NFL. I don't think he'll be that. I think that Wilson's going to be okay in turnover department. I don't see him being a turnover machine. I'll say that.
I think it depends on the protection, really.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. J.E., he says, I think we could surprise a lot of people this year. I think it's potential. There's a shot. There's always a shot. Because, again, here's the thing. Every year, almost every single year, there's always a worst to first scenario in the NFL. And I'm not saying the Jets are that team. They're not going to jump to first. But that doesn't mean that they can't go from worst to third. And my God, if we go from worst to second, I will be doing a dance down Broadway. I mean, that would be outstanding. If they can go from first to second place, or excuse me, worst to even second place, that would be a huge jump. Huge jump. I just don't expect it.
Yeah, I think it's important to stay realistic and grounded during this period of time. I think when we get after we get into next season, and we add based on the amount of draft picks that we have, and we fill in any gaps that are noticeable this year, I can see myself joining JE and going off the deep end into optimism, into Never Neverland. But I'm trying my best to stay grounded. And my thing is, as soon as you set unrealistic expectations, you're automatically setting yourself up for battling that doubt or that disappointment, like as if we made wrong decisions. And I just think, no matter what happens this season, I think it's too soon to really make those calls on Zach, on our free agents, on anything that we do, our coaching staff. So I just think that's Chad,
yeah,
voice of reason.
Yep. Yeah, no, I think it's fair to say let's just wait and see, because we know what the team looks like now. Like, it's not like before earlier in the offseason where we were trying to do all these projections about what our team would actually look like. We know what the team is now. Like, they're going to make a couple of moves leading up to the season, but it's going to be very minimal. The roster as a whole has been constructed for the 21 season. So it's fine to say what we think is going to happen now, because not much will change other than maybe some injuries and some cuts. That's about it. We have a new member, I believe, to the chat. If he's already subscribed, welcome to the chat, sir. It is Thomas Hewitt. Don't recognize that name, so welcome. Very happy to have you. He says, Wilson looks like Dan Marino with some wheels. Wilson should beat Darnold easily game 1. And he says, we finally got a real quarterback. So cheers to you, buddy. Welcome to the channel. Hope you enjoy the stream tonight. And if you haven't already, check out some of our content on the channel. I love Zach Wilson. We don't need to go off on a tangent here, but I just love the upside here. Vern says he thinks that Dan Feeney will win the right guard spot, the guy we signed from LA. He's definitely in there for a reason. They're trying to get some competition in the interior offensive line. I think that's the idea, is to get some veterans in there to compete. Let's see. Grant Rude says we probably should have drafted Sewell.
Yeah, I know exactly what he's going at. Yeah. Really funny.
All right, let's see. So we do have a question, and this was somebody who asked this question last week, and I told him we would get to it. Kyle is asking us how we became Jets fans, and I'm just gonna say we will answer that question, and then we're gonna get back to the schedule, because we have only talked about the Panthers game, and I do kind of want to go through the rest of the schedule with you guys. So, Mike, do you want to go first? How and why did you become a Jets fan? Kyle, hope you enjoy the answer.
Oh, wow. Why did I become a Jets fan? I guess similar to John. I guess if I can't remember if we did that on stream, John. If you did, I feel like you've answered that question. I don't know if I've ever answered that question, but mine was probably half of it was hereditary, right? So you're talking about two generations, almost three generations of Jet fans on my side of the family. Had family who were there for the '69 championship game, shared in the love and excitement of Broadway. I would say when I actually knew and found interest in the game, obviously you gravitate towards the excitement in the room. And of course, for me, that was the green and white, watching them go against our arch rivals at the time, which were the Dolphins. I remember the Kotite days. I remember when we signed Bill Parcells and how excited my dad was that this was going to be the turning of the tide. He was actually more excited about seeing Leon Hess sell the team and Woody Johnson, the Johnson family, coming in than he was anything else. I would say, but I'm going off on a tangent. It was definitely the family environment, the excitement of Sundays, of the excitement, the sorrows, and there was a lot of sorrows during those periods of time. The dark ages is what I like to call it, right? So obviously following in the footsteps of where my family was at. But then, as you know about, as you learn about the game, you start to really enjoy and appreciate the history of the Jets. When we started, where we started with the Titans, how we evolved into the NFL, where we found our place battling the Giants for publicity, for attention. I love our team. And I don't know if I put all those pieces together back then when I was like, oh, I'm going to pick a team now and I'm going to pick the Jets. But I love the how that happens organically, where you start to learn the team, you start to learn the history and what we've had to go through. It was kind of a handed to me, but it was a welcome transition, a welcome embrace for me. So I can't imagine not being a Jet fan. Me and John have asked each other that question, if we got sold or if for whatever reason. I can't imagine not wearing green and white.
Yep, that's a good point. Well said. I will echo some of that. So yeah, it's mostly family. Like if I had to be honest with you, it's almost entirely, and I think a lot of Jets fans, it's family. Like you become a Jets fan either because you're from New York, New Jersey, or just somewhere in the Northeast, or you have a lot of family that just are Jets fans already. And I think, and that's how it happened for me. My dad was a Jets fan growing up. He watched them play in the Super Bowl. So it's just hereditary. It's something that you just love as a kid. You love to learn about the team. And I'm not one of those guys that watches a ton of other sports. I do watch basketball. I enjoy basketball. I do watch hockey. I like hockey. I do not like baseball. So if you hate that, not a baseball guy. But I really don't have another team in another sport. And that's really what I mean to say, is that the Jets are my one and only true love in sports. And they rip your heart out, and that part, it's almost like kind of one of those things where you can't get away from, like a crush that you had. You never forget that crush. You never forget that love that you had. And so it's kind of like that. I love the Jets though. And it's a lifelong passion and commitment. I mean, literally that's what it is. It's pretty crazy when you think about how much time you spend thinking about this damn team. And obviously we spend a lot of time working on it and doing the shows and stuff like that. So it just kind of drives up the enthusiasm and the excitement that we have for the team. And talking with you guys, it makes it even more enriching and fun. So yeah, man, that's pretty much it. Family and going to games as a kid. The greatest game of all time for me being in person was the Jets back-to-back weeks versus the Packers in 2002. And then playing the Colts in the wild card, beating them 41-0. Those were two of the most magical games, period, let alone going to those games. And those two situations really cemented my fandom for the New York Jets. So there you go.
I agree. Going to a game really is the cherry on top.
Yep.
Because you do feel that sense of brotherhood or or just when you're around other Jet fans and you're in that energy. Oh man,
Yeah.
it's intoxicating. It's
Yeah,
intoxicating.
it really is. And if you guys are, and whoever's watching this, whether it's live now or after the stream ends, if you guys are going to the Patriots game, my wife and I would love to hang out with you guys. We're gonna be there. We're gonna tailgate our asses off all day prior to kickoff. So if you want to come have a beer with me, just let me know. Reach out to me on Twitter. Reach out to me on social media. Email me. We could definitely tailgate with some Jets fans. That's always welcome. So. All right, we got a few more chats, and then we're going to get back to the schedule here. So Thomas says, we got a guy who can actually complete a pass to an open guy. We sure do. Let's see. Gitmo was talking to Kyle. He mentioned Tua was hurt too much, came up small in his bowl games. I wouldn't have touched him. Grant Rude responded to to Gumball, who said that he was in the Fields or Lance camp. And he says he wants Wilson to prove him wrong. And Grant Rude is saying the exact same thing. Anybody who loved Fields or Lance above Wilson, of course you're going to be upset about that. And I guess the only way to really look at it is if you just hope that you're wrong. Because
Exactly.
otherwise you're living a very miserable life. You just have to hope to be wrong. That's really all it is.
We all swore a pact last week, right? We were going to leave it. We were going to leave the other quarterbacks in the past, and we were going to join each other arm in arm moving forward.
Yeah. Kyle says, I hate when they draft a guy for the O-line and then they get cute and move him to a different position. I'm a fan of letting the guy play the position he has played and excelled at. Kyle, he did play offensive tackle in college, so if we wanted to put him at right tackle, that could work. But I agree with you. Keep him at a guard position. There's no reason to move him around. I'd say if you want him to be a left guard, let him be a left guard. If you want him to be a right tackle, put him at right tackle and let him be a right tackle right away from the jump. Don't move him around a lot. Stick to the plan. Chad's wondering if anybody's going to London, and that's a good segue here. Let's go to the schedule. What do you got for the Patriots week 2? You had said a loss.
I say an L. We don't play well at home. We're going against the Patriots. It's going to be Cam. If it was Mac starting, I would definitely say we're more competitive, and I think Mac has a potential of starting on the second in Foxborough, depending on what happens with Cam. Probably won't be. I think Cam will probably play the most of the season or the entire season. But I see us getting if we win week 1, I think we get gut checked week 2 with the Patriots at home as the home opener, and I know that might be that's a sorrow. That's a very negative, mopey thing to say, but we don't play well against the Patriots. And I also, my personal opinion is we don't do well at home. We do better on the road for whatever reason. And I have a struggling in that game.
Yep. Yeah, I was surprised you said a loss. I have them for a loss as well, week 2. And it's not because I don't think we can't beat the Patriots. I actually have us beating them later in the year. I think it's mostly one of those situations where it's week 2. There's going to be a lot of hype, especially if they do win that first game. And I think the team might just fall flat a little bit. And we have to keep in mind that Saleh's still learning on the job. He's going to be going against one of the greatest coaches of all time, Bill Belichick. I think that could be a struggle too. Is like they might just get out coached in that game even. So I worry about week 2.
Yeah, and that Patriot team. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
I know that Patriot team struggled last year, but that team is not so dismantled. I mean, if they get their footing and they get some productivity and stability at their quarterback position, it wouldn't take much for that team to be back in running for the division. I mean, obviously the Bills are the favorite. The Dolphins are going to be one of the favorites in the next 2 years after the 60 draft picks, whatever they got going on over the next 2 years. But that Patriot team is hurt, but they're not destroyed. It doesn't take much to get that team to be a real pain in our ASS, so to speak. So I really think that team's going to really sock it to us week 2. I also have the Jets performing better in the second game in Foxborough. I think we'll put up a fight. I think at that point we start to hopefully see some strides and some of the nerves being worked out. So yeah.
Love this energy by Thomas Hewitt. Thomas is not effing around. He's in the chat and he's like, "This is Cam Newton we're talking about, right?" He says we're gonna be 2-0. My man,
Dude,
I like.
he's pumped. He's pumped, dude.
Always welcome. I'm not gonna ever decline that. Yeah, I still have us losing that game. There's a lot of factors, and you've hit on them, Mike, a lot, and so I think we're good to move to week 3. Go ahead.
Because here's the other thing. I don't mean to be a broken record. If others feel that our linebacker crew is more solid, and I get those who have a lot of optimism on some of the names that I still have some skepticism on, is if Cam makes it, let's say Cam's running as much as he did last season, he makes it out into that linebacker crew, I'm still scared. I've been scared about any offensive opponent who makes it past the line at that point, because I don't really know how much security we have back there. And if I'm totally wrong about that, I ate crap on Penei Sewell. I'll eat crap on C.J. Mosley going to the Pro Bowl next season. But until I see it, I am concerned about those teams who have weapons, who can really spread our defense apart and put a lot of pressure on our coverage ability. I think that's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, the Patriots have the 2 tight ends set back. They have the kid from Tennessee, Jonnu Smith, and they also have Hunter Henry from the LA Chargers. That's going to be hard. And again, that's kind of what I see. I feel like we're just going to get outmatched in that game. We're just not quite ready to take them on yet. I do have us winning later in the year, though. I think we'll play big on the road in New England. But anyway, we're on to week 3, and I got to give a shout out to my mother-in-law, Mom. She actually gave us some flight points so that I could get to Denver. So thank you, Mom. We appreciate I appreciate you, and I love you very much. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Ed.
Denver. How you feeling about the Denver game, my man?
That's a win all day, every day, twice on Sunday, baby. They gotta win that game. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna probably be taking cold beers on top of my head from nosebleed seats, but I actually am very pumped about that game. I think that's a very winnable game. I think that's a more winnable game in some ways. I think that maybe not more winnable, but I think that's as winnable as the Carolina game to me. So I have that as a W for me.
Yeah, I actually like us in that game. I think the big thing is, are we going to be able to block Von Miller if he's still on the team? Because there's a chance they may move on from him maybe this offseason at some point. But yeah, I feel like we can win that game for sure. Drew Lock has not really proven himself as of yet. They did draft. They get a cornerback, I thought, right? In the first round, did they get a corner?
I'm trying to remember.
What's that?
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I can't recall. I actually have the draft right here. Let me just pull it up.
I can pull it up on my side.
Yeah, it's okay. So, yeah, I feel like we can win that game for sure. It's on the road, so that's going to be a tough thing to do. But I feel like that'll be a big statement win for the Jets to say, like, look, we're not the same Jets. They're going to go on the road. They're going to get a tough win against a team that is still kind of fighting to climb out of the basement themselves. I feel like the Raiders and the Broncos are both trying to, like, fight to get out of that bottom.
Yeah, they took Pat Surtain.
Pat Surtain, okay, that's what I thought. They drafted a cornerback. I wasn't sure. So that does help them in the secondary for sure. I like the fact that we have five wide receivers right now that can all do some damage, and it's not, BS. Like, we have 5 legitimate, decent wide receivers now. So I think we'll be able to spread them out a little bit, and I think we'll have some success running the ball as well in that game. So
yeah.
Drew Lock,
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Drew Lock, I think he has talent, but he doesn't necessarily scare me. He's not going to keep me up at night in that game. So.
No, I was just going to say I have my high expectations. My recurring theme will be I do expect the offense to put points on the board. I'm not saying that we necessarily will blow up every game, so to speak, in terms of keeping up with a high scoring game, but putting points on the game and not being in a a 3-point or 6-point game like we saw over and over again. I have high expectations on the offense because I do have a lot of faith that offense can do a lot of work, even though it's very young and it doesn't really have its sea legs, so to speak. I do think that our offense can be dangerous if it's firing on all cylinders. So the defense side of the ball scares me in certain positions more than others, but I do expect the offense to really carry the weight if we do get into some Sunday battle, so to speak.
Yeah, we have a lot of weapons on the team. I think the tight end spot's probably the weakest spot right now, but I mean, I think there's definitely going to be some games where we pop off on offense, like you said. So, all right, so they're currently 2-1 according to you and me, which is kind of scary that you and I have
I know.
I am going to go to the chat quick, and then we'll get back to our schedule breakdown here. Gumball makes a good point. He says that Belichick does make rookie quarterbacks look bad, and that's totally true. There's a lot of examples, if you will, of Belichick kind of keeping those quarterbacks contained when he plays against them. So it's definitely likely, especially early in the season like that, he's gonna have the upper hand, no doubt. Chad gets a shout out. Chad was the man on the other side of the couch with me on round 2 and 3, so that's pretty cool of him to recognize that. Let's see. Thomas throws a good question out there. He says, how good is Belichick without Brady? I think last year we didn't really get a true sense of that because of all of the opt-outs they had, but I think this year is a fair year where we can really judge Belichick now. What are you without Brady now? Because the team's not going to be in as bad of a spot as it was last year. They definitely were aggressive this offseason, so what are you going to be this year? And I think this will be the year to really know, is he the coach that we all think he is? And will he be able to make them prominent again in the NFL? So, and Grant Rude follows it up nicely. He says, New England has a lot of starters coming back from the opt-out. They were one of the heaviest opt-out teams in the league. And I would say they were probably the heaviest as far as like top-tier players, like top-tier contributors to the team. Vern, you're speaking my language. He says Sherwood is going to take Cam's head off.
Yeah, I saw that.
You got to believe Nasruddin, my guy, Mr. Ham. By the way, Ham, that is his nickname, is Ham. Hamza Nasruddin. I think he and Sherwood have a lot of potential on this defense as those hybrid linebackers. It's very exciting. Let's see. Yeah, Gitmo agrees. He says a rookie QB going against the Pats defense could definitely be ugly. I agree. Let's see. Kyle Reich said, great answer, Mike. I believe he's talking about when you were talking about how you became a Jets fan.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Grant Root actually has the Denver game being their first win. So he thinks the Panthers will win week 1 and the Patriots will win week 2. Let's see. Tommy R. Not yet. And we actually have a segment tonight addressing this exact comment, Tavon Austin. We will talk about him later. Let's see. James DiPietro, welcome back to the channel, sir. He says, hopefully our kicker won't let us down this year. Yeah. Nagar from... crap. I can't remember the damn team name. But yeah, we need our kicker to do well. And if it's Ficken, if he wins the job, fine. If it's Nagar, who we got the undrafted kicker, just need somebody to be competent. He doesn't have to hit 100% of his kicks, but we need somebody in that, 82 to 90% range. We can't be missing more kicks than that. So... And Tommy R., to answer your question, we have not signed Tavon Austin yet.
It's a workout.
All right. Oh, what's up, man? Area 49ers, thank you so much for the comments. He says, hope you guys are having a great night. We are, dude. Thank you for throwing that in there. Appreciate you for coming back and checking us out.
Dude, he's awesome.
Yeah, he comes in all the time. All right, Titans. I got a loss there.
This is a tough one, man. I had a win. I have a W.
What? Oh, no. Oh, no. Go ahead. Tell me about why you think we're going to beat them.
I know. I know you got Derrick Henry, who's a team killer. He's a defensive killer. You got Ryan Tannehill, who's reborn. He's been dipped in the holy waters and cleansed of the Dolphin days. There's something about the fact that Corey Davis will be playing hard that day. I think by week 4 we start to see some maturity inside the offense. I don't know. So I don't really know the Tennessee defense scheme or their superstars on defense, but I have a lot of
Their
expectation
defense
that
last year. I want to interrupt you just. Their defense
Yeah.
was not very good last year. Go ahead.
So I do think Zach will have the time to throw, and I think with Corey playing hard, and then you see a lot of Elijah Moore coming into that game. I don't. The defense will be the hardest part. Obviously, is keeping Tennessee out of the end zone, but I have high expectations that we score. That's a heavy scoring game for us. I think it's a tight game. I went back and forth between a W and an L for this, but I'm going to stick with a W.
Grant Root throws a comment. He says their defense is really strong. I don't think statistically it was very good at all last year. I think they had a really hard time getting off the field on third down. They had a hard time stopping the run, I believe, or it was one or the other. The pass. I didn't think they were a very good defensive team last year. I'll have to check that out, but I don't believe they were very good on defense. So Jason Rhodes threw a comment to Michelle. He wants her on the channel. He wants her to be the third head on the team.
She should be.
Thomas says going to score a lot of touchdowns. Not going to need a good kicker. Man, you need to be here every night. I need the positivity, man.
I need you to call my dad, Thomas. I need you to call my dad. I need you to talk to him. I need you to tell him that it's going to be okay.
Yeah. You can do a little bit of therapy for your dad.
Yeah,
Jason Rhodes agrees with you. Jason Rhodes says this is going to be a win. I will say it is a home game, so that is one thing that we have to keep in mind. So it will be a road game for the Titans. I mean, it's not impossible. I just think that Ryan Tannehill, they've still got A.J. Brown. He's a beast. They've still got Derrick Henry. They did lose Jonnu Smith and Corey Davis, obviously. So we'll have to wait and see. I have them for a loss in this game. I just think that that's going to be a hard matchup. But we'll see, though. I could be completely wrong on that, but I have them taking a loss there. They're 2-2 right now for me. Let's see. James DiPietro says everyone will be having problems with our defensive line this year. That's how I feel, too. I feel like our offensive line is going to be better, and I feel like our defensive line is much, much better, and it's a much better scheme fit for a lot of the guys that were here last year. So, yeah, that's fair to point out. Our defensive line could be pretty good, and we have to hope that Quinnen Williams takes even just a little bit more of a step forward. He doesn't need to be Aaron Donald, but if he can take another step forward and become a 10 to 12 sack guy, watch out. That's all I'm going to say. Because then we've got Carl Lawson coming off the edge. It's going to be a huge problem for offensive lines, for sure. Vern says, beating the Titans would be huge. That's the loss for me on my 5-1 prediction. Interesting.
Very interesting.
Gitmo says, until I see this team on the field free of Gase, I just can't predict these games. It is really hard to project. We don't even know what the offense is going to look like. Are they going to be run heavy? Are they going to be balanced? Right. Are they screw it, let Wilson just take his lumps and throw the ball a lot? What are they going to do? Let's see. Grant Rood said they also lost their OC. That's a fair point to mention. Arthur Smith is no longer there. That could change things for them on offense, for sure. Good point. Jason Rhodes says we are going to win against run-heavy teams, 50-50 against pass-heavy teams. Fair point. Derrick Henry is a different animal, though. I will be able to... That dude is the king. He's called a king for a reason. Straight Fire says, guys, there's winnable games here. We're scoring points. You'll see. Straight Fire, where you been, brother? I was trying to get you to do a live call-in this time. We'll have to schedule that for next week, okay? I'm counting on you, sir. Good. We finally got some questions. John, appreciate the comment. He says, everyone hit that like button. That's very cool of you.
Yes.
John, get a coin for you. Oops, that's a Jets chant.
Even better.
He gets both. He gets a coin, too. Thank you, John. Really do appreciate that. Thomas throws a question in there, and then we will get back to the schedule. He says, which wide receiver is going to have the most yards on the Jets this coming season? For me, it's Corey Davis.
Corey Davis.
Yeah, I think Corey Davis is going to get the majority of targets outside of whoever's in the slot. And I think he's going to have opportunities down the field to make big plays. So I've got Corey Davis getting just over 1,000 yards. He's going to be anywhere between that 900 to 1,000 yard mark. I don't see him doing much less, and I don't see him doing much more. Who you got, Mike?
Corey Davis, for sure. I think Corey Davis is going to be the big producer, but I say next season it's a different picture for me.
You didn't like the Corey Davis signing, though, I thought.
I wasn't. Well, based on the receivers at the time, I wanted other people. I'm not going to hide that. But based on who we have, I think Corey will light it up.
That's fair. And maybe with Mims only being in his second year, not really getting a lot of opportunities this past year, maybe he needs a little bit more time to still develop. So that's fair. Straight Fire says, I was waiting, but absolutely. Well, we'll have to schedule that for next time because I have to get stuff set up on my end to be able to do that. So hit me up on the Twitter, man. We'll set it up. I need to get your Skype and everything. Vern says Henry usually starts out the season slow.
That's a good observation.
I would have to look at that. I think he might be right, although last year I don't recall anything like that. But maybe in years he was a beast. I mean, he's been a beast the last 2-3 years now. He's just a stud. Straight Fire says, I will not be surprised if it ends up being Mims. If he's healthy, obviously he's a breakout waiting to happen. I love Denzel Mims. I think he's gonna be very, very good this year. I don't think he'll be the receiver one. I think that he will be, he's going to be the second guy that they look to on the outside. I think Corey Davis is going to get those targets, but you never know. If Denzel Mims steps up and he just makes plays when he gets his opportunities, that's really what it's all about at receiver. Make plays when you get looks. If the ball is thrown your way, you got to get that ball. You got to make a play on it. So I would not be shocked, and I would be very, very happy if that happened. Gitmo says, what's your prediction for CJ Mosley? He says, I think he's the key to the defense. Go ahead, Mike. You can take this one.
No, I agree. That's my MO right now is, what's the health and stability of the secondary, and more importantly, what's the health and stability of our linebacker crew. And to me, I think that linebacking crew goes from a B rating to a D rating, depending on what Mosley we get. Coming back from 3 seasons, not playing, or mostly not playing, if you don't count the 3 or 4 games that he played, for the Jets before the pandemic. So to me, if Mosley comes back and he's a Pro Bowl monster that he was, I will immediately feel much better and sleep better at night with some of the threats that I think we will be facing. But if he is very sluggish, or the fact that he's 3 years older than he was when we signed him, I'm not gonna lie, NYJ Today fans, I think that will be our biggest weak point, be more so than the secondary is, to be honest with you. If we don't have Mosley, we're gonna be struggling out there.
Assume he's healthy then. What do you because that's what he's asking for a prediction.
Assume he's healthy. I think if he's healthy, well, I guess let me ask you this. I don't want to pick it apart, but when you say he's healthy in the sense that he's a Pro Bowl linebacker still, or what?
You to predict what the hell he thinks he's going to do this year. That's what he's asking.
I'm saying. I'd say it's complicated because you can be healthy but yet still rusty. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just going to say when he says if CJ Mosley comes in and he does what we signed him to do, yeah, I think we'll be much better, and I'll be much happier with where the defense is.
All right, well, that's still not a prediction of what you think is going to happen. But I'm going to say I think he starts
out. What are you talking about?
Because you didn't say what do you think he's going to do. What's he going to do this season?
For the game? Oh, for the season?
No, for the year, mofo.
I can't answer that question because I don't know.
I believe that he's going to have a season where, like you kind of hinted at, he's going to be a little bit rusty. And I don't think that we can rely on him to be the guy that he was when we initially signed him. He's missed too much time. And Grant Root threw a comment in there. He said 2 years removed scares me a lot. He says that Le'Veon Bell lost it after. It's a lot of time out of the NFL.
I said the same thing.
You mentioned it, but you didn't give like a firm belief, and that's what I believe. I think he's gonna be rusty for sure early on, and if the hope is that he can shake off that rust and can be solid by mid-season. That's my hope. So
I defer the question until camp starts.
all right, that's fair enough, because if he looks like a stud in training camp, maybe he can turn it around. Who knows? Let's see. So John threw a question in there about Richard Sherman. I don't think that Richard Sherman wants to come to the East Coast. I think that right now the rumor actually is that he might even re-sign with Seattle. Like he might go back to the Seahawks if that opportunity presents itself. I don't know if they'll be interested in Sherman. I'm still hoping that he has to sit there forever and Robert Saleh just comes to him and is just like, dude, just come play football with me for a year in New York. You can retire after that. You can do whatever you want, but come play football with me for a year. I need you. Like I feel like that would be awesome. So I don't know if I think he would start if we signed him, but we'll have to wait and see. Yeah. Let's see. Mike, question for you. What do you feel about our defense? Can you see the middle of the pack, or do you still think there are major holes? That's from Straight Fire.
I gotta mention, because Verver's comment, he said for the game, Mike was ready to predict tackles for the game.
Yeah. That's what you started.
I was, bro. I was about to throw in a tackle though.
I gave you a Price is Wrong, bitch.
I didn't throw a number, though. I was ready to. I was like, is that what he's asking me for? You want me to throw out a number, bro?
Tommy, answer
sorry.
Straight Fire's question. He wants to know what you feel about our defense. Middle of the pack, or do you see we have major holes?
Ooh, that's a great question, Straight Fire. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I give the front office credit for trying to diversify the talent, the pickups. Obviously, the offensive side of the ball needed it the most, especially when you're going with a high-value asset like Zach. We made moves on defense, but are those moves enough to where we say we have a stable and well-performing defense? I'm excited for some of the players on defense, but I think we struggle. I think we have gaps on defense.
Yeah, well said. The 49ers on defense, the year that Saleh came over, there was a transition period. They struggled on defense year one. I think that our pass rush will be better than what they had their first year in his system. I think Mike's right. I think we're going to struggle a little bit in the back end. I think our linebackers are suspect right now. I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle of the pack because we do have a solid rotation on the defensive line. I think there's going to be games where they really get in the face of some quarterbacks and look really good. But then there's going to be some games where they get blocked up and we're just going to get picked apart. So I agree. I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle. Thomas says Elijah Moore is going to be the man. And actually, he's going to be the dog. I like him and Zach Wilson together for a very long time. I think that that's got a real shot to be a very, very deadly combination. Hoping that when we watch preseason and when we watch the games early in the season, that it's apparent that they have a connection. If you guys remember
That's a great point. That is exactly what I'll be looking for, the connection, dude. Because Darnold never established a connection with anyone.
Yes.
You know? And although
high five.
Mark obviously butt fumble, but for the years we went back to back, he had a great connection with Braylon and he had a great connection with Santonio. And I think that connection, that key word, man, you hit it. That's exactly what I'll be looking for, that connection.
Yep. If they can connect, and again, it doesn't really matter who it is, if it's with Denzel Mims, Corey Davis, if you can sense that they are able to connect on those back shoulder throws, if you can sense that they just have the timing right down, that's what we're going to be looking for, is can he connect with at least one of these receivers, because that's what you want with your young quarterback. All right, let's see. Jason Rhodes says, for the year, mofo.
That was hilarious. I was ready.
game. Mike was ready to predict tackles for the game.
You just call me Miss Chloe.
So Area 49ers says, I honestly want Sherm for the veteran role on the team and to teach up our rooks. So he wants him back on the 49ers, and that's the thing. I think it's going to be a situation where he re-signs with the Seahawks, his old team, or the 49ers. I think that's the more likely route. He's just going to have to sit and wait. I think that he's going to need an opportunity with one of these teams. So, all right, I got a question this time from Straight Fire, and I'm going to answer it. He says, John, honestly, can you do you see us getting excellent production from our tight end, Herndon? Fresh start with this staff. So, of all of the players in that draft class, we had Shepard, we had Herndon, we had Darnold. I felt actually the best about Herndon after his rookie year. He looked like he was going to become a top 10, top 12 tight end in the National Football League. And that's the thing with Herndon is can he get back on track? Can a good offensive scheme help him? Can a new quarterback help him? Can the coaching staff kind of lift him back up and get him back to where he was year one? I'm worried about Herndon I'm worried about Herndon in general, but I do like his fit in this offense. And again, if he can just get his confidence back up, he's very, very talented. And so I do worry about the tight end position, but my hope is that somebody can just develop into a solid tight end 2. I don't think we have anybody that's going to be a tight end 1 on this team. We just have to hope that our guys can become good, solid tight end 2s on this roster. That's my hope. Vern liked the Miss Cleo comment.
Mrs. Cleo, he says. I forgot the husband of the house, so my apologies.
Yeah. Let's see. Jason Rhodes says, Grant, I think with our coaching staff, I see him being too aggressive at times, and I'm okay with that. Yeboah is going to be our starting tight end. I don't think he'll be the starter. That would be a shock, a major, major shock. But I am hopeful that he can be our third tight end and maybe compete for some opportunities in the passing game this year. It wouldn't shock me if the Jets tried to trade for a veteran tight end. I'm not saying they will.
Who's out there?
For trading? I don't know. I mean, there's people have talked about Zach Ertz being on the trade block. I don't really love that opportunity so much because I think he's washed. But trading for a tight end, I think, could be on the table, not only considering we have a need, but also we have a ton of picks next year. So yeah. We'll see. It makes me a little bit nervous rolling into the season with what we have at tight end. If Herndon can get back to being like a 400-yard receiving tight end, I think then it's a little bit better. But it does make me nervous. And I do like Yeboah. I do actually have high hopes for him. So we'll just have to wait and see. Robbie Oak, I agree completely. I think he's completely washed. I think he's on the way out. I don't think he's a Witten. I don't think he's going to be a Jason Witten. I think he's not going to last as long. So we just got to see on that one too.
I forgot O.J. Howard is could potentially leave.
Yep, you could trade. Yeah. I would like them to try to make a move for a tight end if it's within reason. I don't want them to get crazy and trade away early picks, but if they can trade for a veteran tight end, I think that would be smart. Yeah. But we'll see. John puts a good question in the comments. He says, crossing my fingers about our special teams. He says, what do you think of the returners and our kicker? So special teams can win and lose games in the NFL. I've said that many times on the channel. I don't know about the kicking game right now. Ficken wasn't good, but he wasn't awful last year. Just a little bit inconsistent. I have no idea whether Nagar is going to turn out to be anything, worth mentioning. But I do like that we retained Brant Boyer, our special teams coach. And I do like the fact that we signed Justin Hardy. He's one of my favorites.
Hardy, baby. I love that guy, dude. I think he's going to be one of the most exciting players for me to watch, to be honest with you. Anyone who hasn't seen his press conference, you need to go watch that. And then also watch how fast that guy is because he burns everyone off the kick.
Yeah. So Justin Hardy is a good name to mention here. So our coverage is going to be much better on special teams, and that is a big thing. That's a big deal. You can flip field position with that, and I think he's going to be a great member of the special teams. As far as returners go, I think we just have a lot of options. Many more options than we've ever had in the past. Berrios could do it. Elijah Moore could do it. Keelan Cole. He had a 90-yard punt return versus the Packers last year. So we have multiple people who could fill that role. And I feel like in years past, we only had like one or two guys that really could do it. And now it's kind of one of those situations where we actually have competition for the returning position. And I think that's important. Our return game has sucked. Has absolutely sucked. We have gotten nothing from our returners, and we need to start getting something out of that. Let's see. Gitmo says this defense is not going to be the same as the 49ers. The DC will have his own spin, so bringing in Sherman may not be as valuable as people think. It's a fair point. I think the big thing with Sherman is just the veteran leadership, not necessarily his play on the field. He is only a stopgap, best case scenario. So, yeah, Robbie Oak says Yeboah can do it if Herndon blows it again. Tight end might be a focus next offseason. I don't see how it isn't. I would say with one of those first 4 picks that we have, the 2 firsts and the 2 second-round picks, again, assuming we don't make some big trade or assuming that Yeboah doesn't just completely explode, I would like us to draft a tight end in the first or the second round. Give Zach Wilson.
I totally agree.
Give him another weapon. Give him another weapon. That's what the Kansas City Chiefs have just done year after year with Patrick Mahomes. They continue to stack the offensive side of the football. You should do that if you're the Jets. You should continue to add to the offensive side every single year.
Totally agree.
Dude, Vern, I actually think that Ryan Griffin, I didn't even mention his name. I don't think that he's going to make the team. I think that Ryan Griffin's going to get cut. I think Tyler Kroft is going to get signed. Or, excuse me, I think Tyler Kroft is going to stay. He's going to be the blocking tight end. Chris Herndon, I think, would make the roster. And I think Kenny Yeboah, I think he gets the third spot. I don't think Griffin's going to ever return to what he was. He even said that himself after getting the injury. So, yeah. So Thomas threw a comment in here. He says Herndon started catching balls and not dropping them the last couple of the games of the year. Saleh might be able to build his confidence. And that's the hope, is that Herndon can just return to form. He doesn't even need to become a top 10 tight end anymore. We just need him to be a good, solid tight end too. Yeah, I saw that too, Robbie Oak. Moore was catching punts at rookie minicamp. I would be just fine with him being our returner and kind of coming in our 4 wide receiver packages, subbing for Crowder on third down in a 3 wide receiver set. I think that he should earn his role on the offense through special teams. I think Elijah Moore, he needs to make a big play on special teams before they even start to put him on offense. And they should tell him that. Like, dude, you're not going to see the field. We've got Crowder. We've got Davis. We've got Mims. We've got Keelan Cole. Earn your role. No more bullshit. Don't put this guy out on the field just because you feel like it, just because you drafted him early. He has tons of upside, and I love Elijah Moore, so don't get this wrong. But put him in a position where he needs to make a play. Like, get him to play and to perform well on special teams, and then start throwing him on the offensive side. Earn the right to get your spot.
Yep. Totally agree. Preach.
Let's see. Gitmo says the punter will thank the better coverage. Yes, for sure. He's going to have a much better shot at actually pinning some of these guys inside the 20-yard line. Wicked. What's up, dude? It's so good to see you. It's always nice to see people that we know have been on the channel. Do you know what I mean? Oh, he's talking to somebody. Sorry. Yeah, I feel like it's so good to see people when they pop in here. We haven't seen you in a while, so it's good to see you, Wicked. Straight Fire says, I'm not keen on any starters returning kicks. More ways to get injured. I like the idea, but not a fan. I don't consider Elijah Moore a starter. I consider Elijah Moore one of the 5 receivers on this team. That's how I look at him, and I think that early on it's fine if he's going to return kicks. And again, Keelan Cole, he could do it. He could be the returner on this team. Maybe he proves himself to just be too consistent and too good at the position. So we'll see how that plays out. I think that's a real competition, though. Let's see. Yeah. Robbie Oak says, so, Falcons. Yeah, let's get back to the Falcons and let's get back to the schedule. I have it as a loss. I think we're not going to be able to match up with their offensive weapons.
That's a loss for me.
Yep, I don't think we can match up defensively versus them.
I also think our team is so young. I just think the maturity of the Falcons team going over to London, the change in time, being used to that. I just feel like that's a maturity veteran team kind of advantage. So I definitely have Atlanta there.
Yeah, I don't see us stopping that offense. Too many weapons. They've got Calvin Ridley, they've got Julio Jones, they've got Kyle Pitts. It's just too good. Matt Ryan. All right, we are on to week 6 first. I'm sorry, week 7 because we have a bye week on week 6. We both have the Jets as 2-3 going into the bye week, which I think would be okay. Not a great situation. We would like them to be 3-2, but I think they'll be 2-3. Week 6 versus the Pats on the road. I think after coming off of a bye week, the Jets will regroup. Zach will have some confidence. They're going to be able to get him really prepared for this game. I have us winning this game on the road.
I have a W.
You do?
I sure do.
This is pretty bizarre. We have everything the same except for the Titans. I have us winning that game again. Maybe we win the home game in week 2 and then we lose this one. I think we'll split with the Pats this year, even though we do have some deficiencies. So I'm giving us the win here on the road. We got a lot of people coming into the comments. I am going to get to you guys. We're not ignoring you. We're going to go a little
Let's get through like a few games and then we get back to chat.
All right, Bengals. I have a win here.
I have a win.
Yep. They didn't do enough to protect Joe Burrow. We're going to eat him alive. We're going to eat him for breakfast. It's going to be Carl Lawson.
Go to town.
Yep. Carl Lawson revenge game, if you will. Quinnen Williams. We might be the ones to injure Joe Burrow again. Not to say that I want them to injure him. Don't get it twisted. But I don't think they did enough to protect Joe Burrow. They got him another weapon, and maybe that's enough. But to me, I think we're going to be pressuring him a lot. It's at home.
Yep.
I'm giving us the win on that game.
100%. You covered all my points. I think the defensive line is going to be hungry. I think Bengals are vulnerable there. And I also think that the offense turns it on. So I have a great showing by our New York Jets for that game. So it's a win.
Nice. All right, let me just favorite some comments here. I don't want to leave these out. All right, cool. We've got the next game, the Indianapolis Colts. It's a Thursday night game. It's our only primetime game as of right now. It is on the road in Indy. I've got a loss for us here. It was close. I do think we can win this game. I gave us the loss just because it's on the road on a short week. Too young of a team. It's a loss for me.
This was a hard one for me. This was one that I went back and forth on. Yeah, I have a loss here, but I was going to change it last second to break away from you. I also agree that we can win this game, and I also think I won't be shocked if we win this game. So that's where I'll differ from you. I do think I won't be surprised if. I actually think, John, that this could be the game where we really see and look at each other and say, "Wow, we have a diamond right now." We have our quarterback. I think this could be the game that turns our caterpillar into a butterfly, so to speak.
I like the expression.
You like that?
I'm going to give us the loss. You said a loss too, but you said it could be a win.
Your audio went out for me. You can hear me? Oh, there you go.
I can hear you. So I had said a loss, but did you say a loss or a win?
I wanted to change. I wanted to break script and go away from my notes, but I have a loss here. Yeah.
Short week. It's going to be tough. We are on to the Bills, and I've got a loss here. I don't think we beat the Bills this year. We're not ready.
I have a loss here. Here's my thing about the Bills though. The Bills struggled last season with consistency. I do think that Josh Allen, which is kind of freakish, the more he plays, the more he comes into his own. I was going to say, here's what I'll say about this one. I have a loss for this game, but I say we're competitive in this game. I don't have us as competitive in the second half when we meet them again, but I say we're competitive for this game. But I have a loss here for this one.
It's not crazy to say that we'll be competitive because it's a division game, and that's generally how that works. Divisional opponents, for the most part, they're closer games than the rest of the games that you play on your schedule. So it's a loss for me, though. I think we might even get our asses kicked in that one. If the Bills are on their stuff, we could get our butts kicked for sure. So we'll have to wait and see, but that's the way I see it. Bills is a loss for me. We've got the Dolphins at home, November 21st, week 11. I have a win as well. I think they're coming off of a couple of losses to the Colts, to the Buffalo Bills. They come home, they regather themselves, they get a win here against the Bills, the Dolphins. And I have them going a little bit on a streak here. So this is a win for me.
Damn you. We're going to be agreeing.
Yeah. So Dolphins is a win. You have them for a win. Texans, I think they may end up being the number 1 overall pick this coming year. I have us beating the Texans at home. In Houston, but I think we beat them.
I think that team is so messed up due to the internal drama. I just don't see them doing good this season. And with the fiery Jets, I see a win for us. I think that's one of the easier wins, to be honest with you. I don't know if that's the wrong thing to say coming from a Texans team that was supposedly on the up and up, but I actually have this as one of our most manageable games to win, to be honest with you.
I think any fan of another team, they're going to all, whoever has the Texans on their schedule, they're all going to say we're going to beat the Texans. Everybody, the Jags, the Jets, everybody's going to say this is a win, and I think they will. I think they'll beat the Texans. All right, Philadelphia Eagles. It is at home. I have a win.
That's a win for sure. They can't even pick what quarterback they want to put back there. So I think that team's in turmoil, and I see that as a very manageable win for the New York Jets.
Yeah, I see it as a win, and we've never beaten the Philadelphia Eagles in the regular season in franchise history. So I have a feeling.
Wow, yeah, I did not know that stat.
We've never beaten them in the regular season. So I think Robert Saleh is going to have the team fired up. It'll be our first December game. We'll be at home. I think they're going to be jacked up to win that game. So right now, just going to keep track here. I have them winning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. 1, 2. So they're 7-5 for me at this point in the season. So I do want to point out, I think that they will have success this year, but it does start to fall off a little bit.
Mine falls off at this next game for me.
Okay, so that's kind of how I see it as well. The Saints. Do you have it for a win?
I have a loss here.
This is freaky, man. Yeah, I have it as a loss too. I actually think this could be a flip-flop game, though. I think they could win this game. Right. They lost Drew Brees. They lost Trey Hendrickson, edge rusher. They lost Sheldon Rankins. I just think that they could be beatable, especially because this is at home as well. So
they still got their weapons on offense.
Yep,
they still got a great coaching staff. And to your point on week 2 with the Patriots, I think this game will come down to coaching, to be honest with you.
On Peyton, yeah.
Yeah.
I give us a shot, though. It's a really good
it's a tough game. I agree with that.
All right. We are at Miami, and it's one of those games that could be on the 18th or the 19th. I would assume it could be flexed to Saturday. That means I got us for a loss there. We're on the road. The Dolphins they're not a pushover team, and I think we lose that game.
I actually have a W here. So I actually have a W here. I actually think we play. I think
you're going to sweep the Dolphins.
I do think we're going to sweep the Dolphins this year. It changes for me next year. I think coming off the loss from the Saints that I have them at, I think the team will be I think Robert Saleh will be pissed, and I think they're going to be coming into Week 15, fired up and ready to go, all gas, no brake. I do. Some of this depends on. I mean, I'm going to stick by my W, but I think some of this depends on how much momentum the Dolphins have. If the Dolphins are screaming and coming and they have their own streak going, then my odds of the W being correct go down significantly. But I'm more or less feeding off the loss to Saints, and then Robert. Like I said, I think it's a coaching game, and I think he's really gonna prep that team for that next game on the road. So I have a W here, just a gut feeling.
All right, fair enough. I do have the loss there. We are now playing at home versus the Jaguars the day after Christmas. I have a win here.
I have a win.
Ooh, against your boy Trevor?
It's unfortunate, but I don't see the Jags. The Jags aren't ready to make plays. They have publicity on their side. They're recreating their fandom. They're building their I guess whatever you call it, their pedigree, their reputation.
Their brand. Yeah,
the brand. Thank you. That's a better way to say it. But I don't see that team competitive this year, regardless if they got Tim Tebow trying to run out there. It's a win for me.
Yep. And at home, if it were in Jacksonville, I'd say maybe this is a little bit more difficult. I think we have a better football team right now than the Jags.
Yeah.
Forget about the quarterback position. I just think we're a better overall football team.
Yeah.
That's a win for me. And then I'll be very quick here. And we can't project that the Bills and the Bucks will not be playing these games to win. I have these both as losses. There's no way we're going to. If they're playing their guys, we will lose these football games.
Totally agree.
All right, what's your record? What do you have the Jets going this season?
I got one more win than you. I'm
gonna save this. This stream is gonna go on the channel, and we're gonna refer back to this at the end of the year.
I have one more win than you.
So you have us 9-8.
9-8.
I have us at 8-9. I am gonna catch up on the chat, guys, so don't feel neglected. We're coming to you. If you haven't already, go ahead and put your record for the New York Jets for the 2021 season in the chat, and I will read it out loud. Grant Rude, he says, Moore will have earned his starting role by week 3. They won't want him returning punts after that. That is my hope, and that's why I said let him earn his spot, and I think that would be the best case scenario is let him make plays on special teams and then say, okay, kid, you want to make more plays? Go ahead and do it on the offense.
Yes, sir.
Tommy R. says, don't want Elijah on special teams, would rather use Keelan Cole or the new guy, Austin Walker. I'm fine with Cole on special teams. I think that may end up being the route that they take. Isaac Benjamin, welcome back to the channel, dude. It's good to see you. Isaac says, I'm going to be watching Jalen Widemeyer, tight end from Texas A&M this college season. Looks to be one of the top tight ends going into the 2022 draft. Just a late comment on your tight end discussion. No worries. I'm actually going to write the name down. Jalen Widemeyer. What a weird name. But I'll check him out. I'm going to be doing my research literally starting now all the way through the college football season. I want to be more informed about these college players once we get to that part of the next offseason. So I appreciate you dropping the name. Jason Rhodes, he says, we never do well off of the bye against the Pats. I don't know, man. I hope that it helps this time because of all of the youth on the football team. Hopefully Saleh proves to be a really great coach and can get these guys ready to play a football game. Yeah, Grant Root, I see it the same way. Jets secondary is going to get murdered by Atlanta. Matt Ryan could have 400-plus yards in that game. I don't think that's a stretch to say. Vern, it's Vern, and it's Thomas right now. They are tied for the most optimistic posters in this chat right now. He says, we're going to sweep the Pats. I can't say that. I can't say that.
I wish I could be there with you guys.
But I don't hate that. I don't hate you for being optimistic. I say keep going. Robbie Oak says a win at New England. That's a tough call. I'm just hopeful that we can split with them. That's really all I'm hoping for. Thomas, we have not forgotten about Sheldon Rankins. No way, no how. I know the defensive line like the back of my hand. Bryce Huff, Jabari Zuniga. We've got Sheldon Rankins. We've got Jonathan Franklin Myers. We've got Carl Lawson, Quentin Williams, Foley Fatakasi, the name Jonathan Marshall, who we just drafted. The defensive line is loaded. Let's see. Full disclosure, I am a diehard Chicago Bears fan, but I like Penny and his podcast. I grew up in northern New Jersey, literally 15 minutes away from Old Giants Stadium, so I respect Jets fans. Appreciate it, man. You're always welcome. Doesn't matter what team you root for. Straight Fire says, I so disagree with them beating the Patriots at Gillette. No way, guys, on the road against Belichick. I'm good. We might not. I have a splitting with them one way or the other. I see beating them one game. Maybe
exactly.
not. But I think we can split with them, especially if Saleh is what we think he is. I think he's a good head coach. We shall see. Isaac Benjamin says, Wentz and the Colts could crumble under Saleh's defense. Yeah. Wentz has a lot of pressure this season coming up to be successful. He has to be good. They traded for him. They're a decent football team, the Colts. So he better perform. Gitmo says, technically the London game is kind of a primetime game. That's a true statement and a good way to look at it for sure. Let's see. We could win 11, 12, and 13. Please beat Philly. Finally, they are so effed up. Agreed. It's time. We got to beat Philly. That would be a good game to go to, actually.
I didn't know that stat. I think I appreciate you sharing that we've never beat the Eagles in the regular season before.
We have Carolina. We have us beating Carolina. I think we can beat them. It's going to be a tough game. That's a toss-up game for me. We can definitely lose that game. It's kind of like the Saints game. We could definitely win that game or lose it. Let's see. Robbie Oak says, I have 2-7 to 5-7 to 6-11. There you go. So he's a little bit more down on the Jets than us. I find it interesting that you have them winning more games than me after screaming at me earlier in the offseason about how we couldn't win this coming season.
Some of my games are really close, so I'm as I told the chat, I'm setting myself for realistic expectations, but I can have a little Thomas Hewitt. I can have a little Vern in me. That's okay.
Let me get back to this scene because I'm tired of looking at the other one. And I can close this too, actually. So let me get that out of here. Okay, back to the chat. So Vern actually says we are going to make Jameis Winston look silly. We'll see, man. I think I give Sean Payton the benefit of the doubt. I think he's going to get the very best out of Jameis Winston. He had a full year behind Drew Brees. I think that's beneficial for sure, and it's kind of obvious, but I think it's really going to help him. So we'll see about old Jameis. It'll be interesting to see him in the starting lineup again. Let's see. Gitmo says if Watson gets traded and plays to an AFC East team, these predictions are going to change. He's not going to go to the Pats. The Pats just drafted somebody at 15 overall, unless they trade away Mac Jones, which would be unprecedented. The Dolphins have the ammunition, so we'll wait and see on that one too. Wouldn't that be interesting if they traded for him before the trade deadline?
That would be crazy.
It would be nuts. Michelle says 7-10. I think that's probably the more realistic outcome, honestly. I'm being optimistic. I think 8-9 is.
I'm only 2 more games.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So 8-9, I think, is reasonable. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. But Robbie Oak says 6-11. We're going to be competitive, and we're going to be setting up for 2022.
Dude, Vern 10-7.
10-7. The last 2 will be. He says the
if
last.
We go 10-7. I'm just gonna say right now. I'm painting my face, my whole body green and white. I'm painting everything. I'm just telling you.
Yep. So James DiPietro comes in with a pretty cool comment. He says the Vegas over/under is 6.5 for the Jets. He says I'm taking the over. I agree.
Yeah.
The only tricky part here is that they have to win 7, and I mean I only have them winning 8, so it's not out of the realm of possibility if things go south, if they have some injuries. I think they definitely could be a sub 6.5 win team. We'll just have to wait and see, but it is good odds. I mean, it's not a bad bet right now. If you were going to take, I would say definitely take the over for sure.
For sure.
Kyle says, did the Jags ever have a brand to begin with? The fair point. Straight Fire says, I can see them going 9-8. Definitely, there's always that game they shouldn't win. For sure. That's the thing. We're projecting these wins right now. They may win a game that we don't expect them to win. They may lose a game that we don't expect them to lose. Things just change. Grant Rude says, optimism hurts my brain. Too many years. I thought the Jets were going to be in the playoffs. Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. We don't mind realism. I consider myself to be a pretty realistic fan. I don't want to be too optimistic and I don't want to be too pessimistic. I want to be somewhere in the middle.
Right.
Kyle puts a very good comment, and he says there's not a lot of definite loss games and not a lot of definite win games, which I think is a pretty good statement, actually. There's a lot of toss-ups on this schedule.
I totally agree with that. And that's where I go about it. Regardless of what the record is, it's looking for those key things. And one of the big things is what you said, which is connection, progress, cohesion as a team, coaching, play calling, game prep, all those things are going to be wins for me, regardless of whether we win the game or lose the game. So a lot of these games are toss-ups for me. I landed more optimistic than John did, but there's the intangibles is what I'm going to be paying attention to.
Yep. And if we go 7 and 11? Is it 7-11? No, it's 7-10.
Yeah.
If we go 7-10 and we still show competitive team, I'll be happy. If we go 6-11 and we're competitive in most games, I'm going to be happy. There's not going to be some negative outcry, I think, from the fan base if we lose 11 games, 10 games. As long as we're staying competitive, we're not getting blown out like we were every damn week with Gase.
Right.
Grant Reed with a really good comment. He says that Wentz is rejoining the offensive coordinator that put him in the MVP talk. He really likes Greg. Good point. And he also puts out a comment about Jameis Winston's situation. It's a very good one. Got great weapons, pretty good offensive line. Jameis Winston definitely could surprise. Let's see. Gitmo kind of echoes what we said. He said he really just looking for the team to progress and be competitive in most games, for sure. Trying to catch up here. We're basically there, though. Isaac says, rookie head coaches always do best their first year with the Jets. Even Bowles went 10-6 his first season as the head coach. That's a fair point to make, too. Mangini did well. Herman Edwards did well their first year. Rex Ryan did well his first year. The only man that really didn't do well was Gase. Everybody else had some sort of success their first coaching year with the Jets. I mean, not all of the head coaches in their history, of course, but for the recent history, I would say most of them have even won the majority of their games. Even Al Groh in the 2000 season went 9-7, so.
Right.
All right, I think we're good. We're all caught up here. So we'll wrap up the show here with a couple more quick hitters. It's nothing too crazy here. It's not going to take as long as that last segment. Thanks for filling up the comments, guys.
Yeah, great chat engagement there.
Yeah, it's been very good. So let's see. We talked a lot about our offense and our receivers. Jamison Crowder is a name that we've talked a lot about this offseason. I want to preface this, and then I'm going to let you go with it, Mike. The Jets just worked out Tavon Austin.
Yes, sir.
So there's that. If we cut or trade Jamison Crowder, we save $10 million. And they could use that money to either roll over into the 2022 season or they could use it on a veteran cornerback. I'm going to preface this one more time. I do not want to get rid of Jamison Crowder. I want him on the football team. But because of the sake of the offseason, I thought we should talk about it. They are working wide receivers out. They brought Tavon Austin in. There are not that many wide receiver spots on the roster. Denzel Mims, Corey Davis, Keelan Cole, Elijah Moore are all going to be on the team. None of those 4 guys are going anywhere. Then you've got, sorry, I left out a guy. Who am I forgetting? Corey Davis, Denzel Mims, Keelan Cole, Elijah Moore, Jamison Crowder. I'm sorry, there's the 5th one. We've got Berrios. We've got Vincent Smith. And then if they bring in Tavon Austin, I think that's where it gets really interesting, because they're probably only going to keep 5 or 6 guys on the active roster. I do not want to get rid of Jamison Crowder. I'm going to repeat that again. I don't want to trade him. I don't want to cut him. But what if they did make this move? How would you feel about it? What are your thoughts on the likelihood that they do move on from him if they sign somebody like Tavon Austin? Just go ahead and hit that up real quick.
I don't see the Tavon Austin workout as anywhere impacting Jamison for me. I think what Tavon said to me was trying to who do they want back there fielding special teams, who can also add to the depth chart, although based on the number that we would have, that seems illogical that we would need to add another person to a receiving depth chart. I don't see them releasing Jamison Crowder, and let's just say they did. I'd rather see them roll that over to 22. To be honest with you, I think we reached. I don't want to say reach. That's not the right term, because I don't think we reached. I'm glad we took Verituga, but I think we were all like, oh, we wish we had those 3rd round picks. I think that freeing up and getting something for Crowder for 22 and really making the 22 draft a way to really take this team into, I don't want to say a win now situation, but I think what we do in 22, and if we were to really give up a talent like that, I would hope we would get some considerable compensation for that, to where after the 22 offseason, we could really kind of say to each other, we should be playoff bound at that point. So I don't think they'll get rid of Crowder. I think he's too important. I think the Jets have said to us very blatantly they want to give Wilson as many tools as possible to really help his maturity and his development. I think Crowder's a part of that. I think if they do it, it should go to the 22 season. I don't see a reason why I don't know of any talent out there that I would want to say, let's pull the trigger now and sign them long term. I would rather see them wait for the 22 season. So let me know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the comments actually before I touch on it. Vern, we will talk about that. We did mention it earlier. So my wife and I are going to be going to the home opener against the Patriots. We are down to party. We are ready to drink beers with you.
I want to party with you.
I want to go to a tailgate festival, basically. I want to hang out with all the Jets fans that want to hang out with us. So you're more than welcome to join my wife and I. And then Mike and I are going to Denver, actually, for the Week 3 game. There's a chance that Michelle and I, and maybe even Mike, we go to a late game in the season. Maybe that Eagles game, maybe that Jaguars game. So we'll keep you guys in the loop, though, for sure. Would love to hang out with you guys. That would be just so much fun.
You guys aren't ready for me. I will have each of you doing beer bongs and activities that it would be frowned upon.
Yep.
You're not ready.
You're not ready. Straight Fire says, not a fan of cutting him now. I agree with this young team. He's a constant in the locker room. That's how I see it, and that's why I don't want to get rid of him. I think it's a huge mistake if they do decide to cut him or trade him. I hope you guys don't mind the speculation on my part. I just think it's interesting. If they do bring in Tavon Austin, who's to say? I think they could. They could make the rationalization to themselves. They could say, you know what? We've still got enough talent. Let's go ahead and move on from him. Either roll the money into 2022 or use it to get a corner this year. So,
but who's gonna play that spot? Elijah or Mims is gonna step in on that?
No, it would be Elijah Cole. Elijah Moore. It could be Keelan Cole, and it could even be Tavon Austin. I mean, Isaac Benjamin pointed out that Austin's never had a 1,000-yard season, but I don't think Jamison Crowder's ever had a 1,000-yard season. So the Jets might be sitting there saying to themselves, Crowder's a very good slot receiver. We all know that, but that's all he is. So why don't we go cheap at the slot position when we already have some guys that can fill that role in Cole and in Moore? And I think this is a financial situation. It's not one of those situations where they're like, we got to get rid of this guy in Crowder. He just sucks. I think it's a money situation, and that's why I think it's interesting that they're working out Tavon Austin. So
I saw. Yeah. Did you comment on what you think?
I think I did. I think if they sign Tavon Austin, it worries me for Crowder, and I want Crowder on the team. I've made that very clear on social media. I just think that it's interesting that they are working receivers out that I think they could replace him. So,
and if they do sign Crowder, do you want them to sign something right away or roll it to 22?
You mean if they released him or if they traded him?
Yeah, if they traded him.
I mean, whatever they get for him, it would probably be a 2022 pick if they traded him. And if they cut him outright, then yeah, I'd say just roll with what you got and let the money roll into the next offseason.
Okay.
Because they would be saving a lot of money. I mean, it is $10 million. That's nothing to sneeze at for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it moving here. Grant Rude does say he wants to keep Crowder, and he says, trade. I want Crowder and a next year late round pick traded away for starting. Oh, so he wants to move on from Crowder. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, they could also make a trade too. I don't think that's more likely. I think it's more likely they could trade him for a pick, or they just cut him and move on, which I don't like that idea at all. And Robbie Oak agrees with me. It feels like JD is setting up to potentially move on from Crowder, which again I still don't love. All right, let's see. If you can trade Crowder to a wide receiver hungry team for, say, a third, then he might go. Otherwise, he's there for the season. And again, I think that's better. I don't think anybody's going to give up a third-round pick for him unless they have like a serious injury to their slot receiver and they just need somebody and they're in win-now mode. That would be my best guess. Let's see. John says, go Jets from Key West, Florida. I would have to imagine that you'll be at the Jets-Miami game. If you are, my wife and I have talked about wanting to go to that game as well. Maybe we'll see you there. Grant Root says, are you vaccinated? I am vaccinated. Ready to partay, sir. Ready to move on with my life. I respect anybody's decision to get vaccinated or to not get vaccinated. It is no worries. Let's see here. Vern says, Denver sounds like the NYJ Today official meetup game up in Smoke Tour. Vern, hold on the phone. Are you living in Denver, Vern? Because if you live in Denver, we will meet up faux show. And you know what's up. That's all I know. Let's see. Crowder has had better stats. Oh, definitely had better stats than Austin. I'm not arguing that by any means. And again, prefer to keep Crowder. I don't want Crowder to go. I'm speculating, though, that JD might want to move on. That's all I'm speculating. Official, loyal New York Jets fan. Sorry, bro. Wanted to be on your show. Had a death in the family and lots of family illness. So didn't see you this week. Do not worry, my man. We will set something up. I did see your message on IG. Hang in there. Sorry for all of that. It's brutal. When stuff like that comes up, it's just the absolute worst, and I feel you, and I'm sorry that you're having to go through it. Hang in there. My prayers are with you and your family. Let's see. Yep, everybody's saying prayers to you. Let's see. Hope to be back soon making content. Need this weekend to heal. Yep, definitely, and understood for sure. Let's see. Maybe JD already has a deal worked out, which is the reason why they're working Austin out. That's a fair comment. And again, that's why I brought it up tonight, and that's why I wanted to talk about this, because again, JD always has a plan and he's always thinking ahead to the next move, kind of like a chess player. Again, I think JD looks at this not in the sense that Jamison Crowder wouldn't be the best option. He looks at it in the situation of, I can save $10 million and more than likely replace Jamison as the fourth or fifth option, because right now it's looking like Elijah Moore is going to be our dude. He's going to be the third or fourth option at best. At worst case scenario. So
for sure.
If that's,
yeah, it looks like they have a lot of faith in him, and they should. They should.
Right. So we'll see. Maybe that's the move. Oh, Vern's in Texas. Okay. I think I remember you telling me that, actually. Now that you say that, I apologize. Oh, thank you, Michelle. She throws in a sorry for your loss. Very sweet of you. All right, we are caught up on the Jamison Crowder chat, so we will move on to our last segment of the show. It's been flying by. And again, everybody who's in the chat, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't hit the like button yet, guys, we'd appreciate any more last-second likes to the show. We would really appreciate it. And if you guys are watching this live and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. And if you're watching it after the stream ends, we would love for you guys to consider subscribing. We are just continuously growing. And, you know, you guys are what makes this channel roll. So we appreciate you guys and just want to thank you. So let's move on to our last comment, or our last subject. And you can feel any way you want about this. You can have any opinion. I'm open to any opinions about this. The only thing that really upsets me when I hear people say is that Zach Wilson could be a distraction. Or I'm sorry, that Mrs. Wilson could be a distraction for the Jets and for Zach Wilson. I find that to be laughable and absurd. When was the last time anybody in the NFL history has ever said, oh, you know, that dad, he was such an ass. He really ruined the team's vibe. Or, oh, you know, the dad, he really ruined his son's career. Or the mom never shut, you know, her mouth and it just totally wrecked his career and ruined the team's season. Like, that's the only take that gets me crazy, is anybody who suggests that this could be an issue moving forward. I just wanted to see what people thought about it. No, it's not Eli Apple's mom. We're talking about Zach Wilson's mom. Maybe Eli Apple's mom did something. I don't know. But my thing is, she can say whatever she wants. She can believe whatever she wants. Her opinion, she made a comment about Disney and how they were mask holes because they went to Disney and apparently they didn't stop, telling them to cover up their face mask. And again, it's fair to be upset, but it's also one of those situations where she probably should understand that going into the situation, that Disney's going to tell them to keep their masks on because that's their policies. But I don't know. What do you think, Mike? What do you think about this whole situation? Some people are really twisted up about it, and I find it just kind of crazy to me.
I don't give a fuck.
Oh, go ahead. Tell me why you don't care.
I mean, come on now. Child, please. I mean, are we really going to get lost in the sauce on this? I mean, obviously these players have so much more of a presence and an impact to the world than what previous generations of players did because of social media, because of how crazy the world is. and obviously, the statements that players have made for different purposes and different causes. I'm not opposed to that. Like I said, there's at times where at the end of the day, it's not just football. We're dealing with people. We're dealing with people with different cultures and different backgrounds. So I get where politics or it's extracurricular, I don't know what the right term is, where that stuff comes into the game. But we're talking about a family member who went to Disney World and had an issue with an experience that he or she had at Disney World. We're not talking about a cause. We're not talking about a political stance. We're not talking about anything like that. Let it be. Let the kid focus on minicamp. Let us get ready for what will be the first season in a new era of the Jets. Let her be Zach Wilson's mom and put that on her Facebook or her MySpace page. It has nothing to do with what we need to do as Jet fans and as a team. So to me, I don't give a AF, and I say let it go.
Yeah, and again, we won't spend any more time on this. I just wanted to show you the reason why this is a comment tonight, or a topic, I should say. There's a guy on Twitter who might be the most annoying follow, and I'm not a follower of his, but he might be one of the most annoying people to read online. This is his comment. Zach Wilson's mother might be an issue, to be honest. And I just find that His name is King Kylino. And yeah, he got real uppity with me about it. And so I just think it's stupid. I think it's really, really dumb. You can disagree with her all you want, but to suggest that it's going to be an issue for him or for the Jets, it's just so daggone stupid. Let's see. Vern says she looked hot at the draft. That's the only reason she's getting attention. Probably true. A lot of people were talking about her.
They don't label her as a Karen. It's Karen.
Yeah. Let's see. Grant Rude comes in and says she's hot. She's an outspoken MAGA supporter. Blah, blah, blah. Who cares what any player's mom is? So ridiculous that this is actually out there. And that's how I feel about it. Just feel like, why are people really going here? And again, it has nothing to do with her political stance. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's just the fact that people really think that this could be a problem. That's what I have a problem with. It's so stupid. It's so dumb. MySpace 2005 again? I don't know what that means.
Because I mentioned it.
Oh. Let's see. Zach, a man. Now he will put her in her place if it becomes an issue. That's a fair comment too. If it really became a situation where she just wouldn't shut up on social media, you know dang on well if Zach Wilson believes that that's a distraction, he's going to say something to his mom. He's going to be like, look, you need to chill it and let me focus so that people aren't asking me these dumb questions about how you're going to ruin our season. Yeah, that's how I feel too. Just ridiculous. Did she take distraction lessons from the Ball brothers' father? He is the king of that, is he not?
Absolutely.
All right, guys. That's probably going to do it for the night. Thank you again for watching episode 17. Red Sports, he just came in. He's the last man. He says, what's up, guys? I can see in this scenario where she could potentially be... I don't agree with that at all.
No way, bro.
Don't agree with that. She can be an issue for herself. She could get a lot of heat on herself. She is not going to be an issue for the New York Jets. She is not going to be an issue for Zach Wilson. Again, when have you ever heard of such a thing becoming an issue for any player on any team in NFL history? When has a player's parent ever affected a team? Ever.
I mean, look at LeBron James. His mom was causing ruckus. She was. There's a famous clip of LeBron James' mom getting in a fight, and LeBron James in the game told her to sit down. It's a famous clip. You can look that up, John. It's actually pretty funny. Yeah.
There you go. Wicked says, didn't a WFAN host ask Zach about the social media reaction to his mom? No, I think what he asked Zach is how was it was so he said, wasn't it awkward when people were talking about your mom being hot? Yeah, he did though. And yes, he is a scam artist. He was a gambler, I believe, actually. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed episode 17. Thank you so much for watching. We will be doing episode 18 will be on Wednesday night, so you guys will see us again in 6 days. Come at me on Twitter, guys. Hit me up on Twitter. Set up a live. We can get you on the live stream. We can get you on the call. And leave us a voicemail, guys. The phone number has been on the screen all night. Feel free to leave us a voicemail. We'll play it on the stream next week. Monday is the beginning of OTAs, so we'll have lots to talk about for that next week. Mike, any last words before I sign off?
Just love you guys. Get pumped. Get excited.
Yep.
Hopefully, and get your tickets before they're gone. So
Yep.
get yourselves to a game. If you're with one of our games, Patriots week 2, Denver week 3, maybe TBD, another game late in the season. Maybe we do an NYJ Today meetup and have some fun, but definitely get yourselves to a game if you can. Totally encourage that. So be well, guys.
We would love to see you guys. And Grant Rude, real quick, there will be 2 videos coming out this weekend. I'm going to give my official season predictions video, and I'm also going to put out a hype trailer.
The hype one.
I'm ready for my hype trailer. I worked on it really hard. It's coming out on Sunday. I'm pretty excited about it. I hope you guys like it.
Get hyped.
Anyway, go Jets. See you
Peace,
guys
guys.
next. Peace out. Word from my daughter.